I understand not getting along with your mother, but to get to the point where you would stab her over 65 times is unthinkable. Well, that is exactly what 18-year-old Juliana Llamoja did to her 47-year-old mother, Maria. Juliana was born to her parents, Maria and Luis, and she had 2 younger brothers as well. Her family was very well known in Peru. Her dad was a very well-respected judge, so they had a lot of connections. Growing up, Juliana was daddy's little girl. Anything she wanted, he would give her. They had a really beautiful relationship, but the same cannot be said about her relationship with her mother, Maria. 2 of them just could not get along. Maria tried to control her daughter, tried to stop her from stealing, lying, cheating, sneaking out, rebelling against them, but nothing seemed to help. Anytime she would tell her husband, Luis, that they needed to get their daughter under control, Luis would take his daughter's side. Juliana would use this to control her mother and continue to act out because she knew that her dad would defend her. It was pretty common for friends, family members, and neighbors to witness Maria and Juliana fighting, arguing, and insulting each other. It was just normal for the family now. However, on March 5th, 2005, one of these arguments ended in murder. That day, it was just Juliana, her mom Maria, and her younger brother Luis in the house. Her other brother and her dad Luis were out of town. Luis had stepped out to go hang out with his friends, and it was just Juliana and her mom Maria at home. Later that night, when the younger brother Luis arrived home, he went to go use the guest bathroom, but realized that it was locked. He started knocking on the door, thinking maybe his mom or his sister was in there or the cleaning lady, but no one replied. So he decided to peer in through a little window in the bathroom, and that's when he saw a body lying on the ground. He couldn't tell who this person was, so he began trying to break down the door. He called his sister Juliana to come down and help him, and they weren't able to break down the door, so he went to the neighbors to ask for help. The neighbors came, they all broke down the door together, and unfortunately, this is when Luis found his mother, Maria, lying on the ground in a pool of her own blood. Police were called to the scene, and they discovered that Maria had 65 stab wounds, with a fatal stab wound to her neck. Now, Luis had been away all night with his friends, so the only person home was Juliana. Police begin to question Juliana, and she tells them everything. She tells them that that day, her and her mom got into an argument over some clothes. Her mom was yelling at her, and Juliana decided to walk away to just end the argument, and she walked into the kitchen and began cutting up some watermelon. Her mom got upset that she was walking away while she was speaking, so she followed her into the kitchen, and this is when things began to escalate. Juliana says she got so annoyed at her mom that she grabbed the knife she was using to cut the watermelon and stabbed it into the table, telling her mom to shut up. This is when Maria decided to grab her own knives and began chasing Juliana around the kitchen table. A physical altercation ensued, and they were just fighting with each other until they slammed into the wall and accidentally turned off the lights. Then they fell to the ground, and they were basically just fighting in darkness. Juliana eventually was able to get up, and when she turned on the lights, she saw that her mom was still lying on the ground, covered in blood, with the knife sticking out of her neck. Instead of calling the police or telling anybody what had just happened, she decided to drag her mom's body into the bathroom, lock the door, and then go upstairs and shower. She was adamant to police that she did not stab her mother in the neck. She actually blamed her own mother and said that she did it herself to end her own life. Police listened to this and they just don't believe Juliana. There was no way that this was in self-defense because Juliana barely had any marks on her, and again, Maria had over 65 stab wounds. When Maria's sisters and her side of the family learned about her death, they were just heartbroken. They were angry at Juliana for doing this to their loved one. As for how Juliana's father, Maria's husband, and the rest of her nuclear family felt, they actually took her side and felt that her actions were justified and that she did do this in self-defense. The only one in the nuclear family that did not agree with this was her younger brother Luis, the one who discovered her body. He was like, my mom didn't deserve this. Like, why are you guys defending Juliana when she just brutally unalived our own mother? How are you taking her side? This actually caused a rift between Luis and the rest of his family because he felt like he was the only one that even cared or was sad about his mother's death while everyone else was just defending Juliana. In the end, the police did not believe Juliana's story of it being in self-defense, and they actually charged her with aggravated murder with parricide. During the trial, it was revealed that a couple of hours before the murder, Juliana had thought about maybe poisoning her mom with rat poison. During one of the beginning interviews at the start of the investigation, Juliana had told police that she had rat poison in her pockets and that she planned on using it on her mom. However, now during the trial, she was denying ever saying that or ever thinking about poisoning her mom. Police did end up finding those rat poison packets in her house, but she still denied it. During the trial, she still continued to say that this was in self-defense and that her mom unalived herself. However, in the end, she was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison. However, in May of 2007, her 20-year sentence was actually reduced to only 12 years because the judge said that she was remorseful and that she did actually feel sorry for killing her mom, and because she was only 18 years old, she deserved to get a shorter sentence. Then, just 2 years later, her sentence was completely revoked and she was released on parole. A lot of people in Peru believe that maybe her father, who was again a well-respected judge, had his connections, release her early. Once she was on parole, she continued to live her life. She started to write poetry. She was actually interviewed by, reporters about her poetry, and she talked about how her life has changed, how she's found God, and how she's just happy to be living her life. In all of the interviews, she doesn't look remorseful. She looks happy to be out and doesn't seem to care about the fact that her mom is gone. To this day, she remains adamant that it was in self-defense, and unfortunately, her younger brother Luis no longer has contact with his other brother, with Juliana, or with his own father. He loved his mother so much and describes her as such a caring, loving, and just beautiful human being who didn't deserve this.